Well, we are here this morning with a powerhouse, I think, even though she doesn't like to claim it. So
we are a powerhouse. Here we are.
Welcome Miss Bethany Beougher to the house. I am so excited about today. I can't even wait to dive in.
Me too. I'm
Are
ready.
you nervous?
I'm pumped up. No, I'm pumped up.
She always says she's an open book, so we're actually about to find out how open she is. So when you got the invite, what did you think the podcast was going to be about?
Well, I didn't have a clue. I was like, she's going to ask me some wild questions. It's going to be fun though. Yeah. And then I was kind of took it in. I can just say whatever.
That's right.
I can really just kind of spill it out there. It's not very many times when you're out in the world, people really want to have an in-depth conversation. So I feel like that's what this is.
A lot of people look at women and we have like this really beautiful facade, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, wow. I call it the must be nice juice. They're like, oh, that must be nice. Or, oh, look at her reels on Facebook and that must be nice. But it's like, do you really know how I got here?
Right.
And so I love how open and transparent you are about your story. And I really think that there are so many women out there that can relate. And I know that before we started, I was like, okay, so Bethany, like, tell me what I can and can't. And you're like, girl, I'm an open book.
Say whatever you want. Ask whatever you want.
So we're at my house on my couch, and I just want it to be us girls really having real, raw conversations because there's somebody out there that is going to relate to your story. So
yes,
give them the back. Give them the back of who Bethany is.
All right, Bethany Beougher. Always wasn't Bethany Beougher. So my birth name was actually Destiny Joanne Archuleta. I was born in Kansas, born and raised, grew up in foster care, and was adopted in the 5th grade. So in the first half of 5th grade, I was Destiny Joanne Archuleta. And then after Christmas break, I came back as Bethany Leanne Beougher.
Did you stay at the same school?
Same school, same class. My teacher actually, Mr. McClure was his name, introduced me as a new student. And I was like, thanks a bunch. Let's draw some attention. I am a new
student. I guess I'm walking in my new life, right?
Oh, yeah. So I walked in and I was Bethany Leanne and that was it.
How did that transformation, like, to me, that almost like hurts my stomach to think about that because I have a 3rd grader going into 4th grade and I'm like, wow. So you were with one family up until then and then you woke up one morning and they were like, hey, this is life-changing.
Yep. So I was 6 years old. The first time I was taken from my birth family. Speaking of my birth family, I never lived with my mother. I never knew my dad. My birth mom was never around. I had 2 other brothers from that same family, and we didn't spend time together. I actually had a room at my best friend's house. Her parents were divorced, and when she went to her dad's house for the weekend, I went with her. I was just that extra kid that tagged along. And then when her mom got remarried, they had bought a new house, and they only had the one child, and then me. And they got bunk beds for her daughter's room so that when I came over, I had a place to sleep.
Wow.
Yep. And my birth mom, I don't think she ever had a place to live. Sometimes I would stay at my grandpa's house, but on the couch. That's where we slept.
Wow.
But that's it. Yep. And then 6 years old, I went into foster care, bounced around a little bit, ended up with my now mother, Miss Kathy was how she was introduced. Yeah. And I still remember sitting on her lap for the first time I ever wanted to call her mom. And I sat down and I said, do you think I can call you my mom? And she said, yeah.
How long was that transition between like going from foster home to foster home until you met Kathy?
She was my 4th home. So the first home we went to was very short-lived. The second home we went to, it was me and my biological birth brothers. And there was some not so great things happening in that house where they were like, we have to remove you. But once we remove you, you guys won't be together. So they split us all up at that time. I'm 7-ish. I was in 2nd grade. moved to another town where they just kept us for a little bit. And then after that is when I went back to this town I was at before, which was Clay Center. And moved in with Miss Kathy. And I was 7, second grade. And then in 5th grade is when I got adopted.
Wow.
Yep.
So do you and Kathy still have like a good relationship?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We just do better in different states.
Hey, that's okay. Look, sometimes Deborah Louise, that's my mom. Sometimes like, okay, are you or I moving? Because this is not working. So I can only imagine.
I call her all the time. I'm like, all right, mother dearest, how are you? And we chit chat. And then we always joke about, hey, you coming back to Kansas? I'm like, when you come to Louisiana, I'll come to Kansas.
We'll swap spots. Right.
But we just.
So let's put into perspective timeline, because obviously some people might be riding in the car and they're listening and they're trying to put this time frame together. So you're with Miss Kathy, then you get adopted in 5th grade. Are you still in Kansas at that time? Okay.
Yes.
So how does that work? Educate me. Like, is that like your foster mom now?
So
or
now
do you
that's
call
my
her
mom.
You call her mom. That's the mama.
Yep, that's mom. If I ever talk about my mom, it's Bethany Beougher.
Okay.
That's my mom. Growing up, obviously you get into those points where you're like, you're not really my mom. I don't have to listen to you. And so,
I hear that from my teenager now, and I am his mom. I birthed him, and I remind him real quick, I birthed you. You do have to listen to me. You do have to follow the rules in this house. Yes, you do. So I can only imagine how, as a teenager, that felt good to say that. Like,
I got you, right. Kathy.
Right.
And she'd be like, okay.
Right.
She probably should have slapped me down and be like, nobody else really wanted you, so sit down, girl.
Stop it.
I joke. But yeah.
Do you find that there were okay, so you don't know this about my husband, but he is the youngest of 5 boys. All of them have different dads. His mother had a drug addiction problem. And they went from their grandparents' house to apartments. They had to take care of themselves a lot because she was not around. Her drug of choice was crack. And so there were many, many nights that she wasn't there. And so growing up, he had to learn how to fend for himself and changing that mindset. And so he never wanted to be like that.
Yes.
And so for him, it was more about, how do I not become that?
Right.
How do I not do that? So you're in 5th grade. How do you go from Kansas to Louisiana? Because Garland bounced around. I think he went to 13 high schools.
Oh, golly.
Yeah. Between freshman year and his senior year, because that's how much his life was ever changing, evolving, staying with people, staying with family.
Yeah.
And so how do we timeline from the time that you were adopted in 5th grade and you became Bethany?
And I became Bethany, yes.
To what was the remainder of that like going through high school? Were you still in Kansas or did you make your way down here?
So I grew up, I've stayed in Kansas until I was 19. Middle school was fine. I had a few hiccups going into high school. My freshman year of high school was really bad. Ended up in juvie and going down that very dark road of, I don't have to listen to anybody. I don't have to do anything. You kind of lose a little bit of yourself there. I did the whole drug scene.
Garland too.
I mean, I feel like I did it all and I could go into depth, but it's just not a fun story.
Yeah.
And then it was after getting out of juvie, coming back home, and I was like, if I keep doing this, I will be nothing more than what she was, and she being my birth mother. And that's not what I wanted. Well, fast forward a little bit. I was 17. I was still doing the drug scene, still doing the booze. And I ended up pregnant with my oldest son. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm just like
reliving.
I'm doing everything she did.
The footsteps.
I'm no different than what she did. And so then I had my son and I said, okay, I'm going to do everything to not be her, because there's no reason that you can't step up to the plate, do for yourself and do for your kid. Yeah. There's no reason. So I got my own apartment and some little Section 8 place in Clay Center. I moved to Manhattan, Kansas with a friend. Had my own little place there. Moved all over the place. I feel like in Kansas, I had 4 or 5 homes within a 2-year span. But nothing ever just fit. I never really just fit somewhere. So I packed up when I was 19 years old, and I had $1,000 in my bank account. And Ashton, my oldest dad, was from Louisiana, and I said, let's go. I'm ready to do something different. I'm ready to take a leap and not get stuck in this rut. So
Garland says that too. Like, he was living in Morehouse, Missouri, and I think there's like a population of like 400 and something people. And it was like right outside of Sykeston, and Sykeston was known for drugs and living in a farm town community, boozing it up. And he wasn't like that there. Like, he was a straight A student and played baseball, but the same thing. Everyone knew about his mom. Everyone knew what was going on. And so he felt like if he didn't get out, it was going to be the same road for him.
You just stay stuck.
And his stepdad, which again, if you want to hear that story, he's been very open on the podcast about that a few episodes before. And he definitely was into alcohol pretty heavily. And his other stepdad, because there was multiple stepdads along the way.
Yeah.
And they all had the same common factor. And I remember when we met, he said the same thing. Like, if he wouldn't have come to Louisiana, because I met Garland at Southeastern.
Yeah.
And so if he wouldn't have come here, he's like, I don't know who I'd be. I would probably be the same person that she is, or the same person that my stepdad was.
Right.
He's like, because I was literally walking those same footsteps as everybody else. So I can respect that. And I also know the $1,000 thing too. Garland and I tell our story. We packed up and left and went to Arkansas thinking that we were like good as golden. And we had like a $500 Walmart gift card that we got for Christmas, 2 cars. And I think we might have had $1,500. And we were like thinking that we were going to conquer the world. And real
with
quick,
$1,000.
Very much.
I look back and I'm like, $1,000, Bethany. What were you thinking? Into a whole new state?
Yeah. What? Yeah. So, well, you get here.
Oh yeah.
And then what does that look like?
A chaos train. I started. This is when I started serving and bartending. I worked at Times Bar and Grill. I was like, I'm doing this for my kid. I'm doing all this stuff. So I'm telling, it was a great time. I was 20, so literally only been here for about a year, and I met a girl, and I was like, this is my life. I have been missing out on my life. I knew like I wasn't who I was supposed to be. I wasn't doing the things I was supposed to do. And that's when people are like, you've been gay your whole life? Probably not, because you had a kid. You tried it out.
I was just going to say,
I'm like,
all of our listeners just went, okay, so you have a son and now you have a girlfriend.
And now I have a girlfriend.
So
yeah. But I was the kid in high school that you did you tried the gay things with.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to kiss a girl, you stayed the night at Bethany's house. If you wanted to experiment in any way with a girl, you stayed the night at Bethany's house. It was just
so were you
what
comfortable
you did.
with that, like in high school, and then afraid to just say that I am?
I
think that's a lot of my girlfriends that are.
I didn't know what to do next. And I grew up, my adoptive mom was very religious. And I remember sitting on the couch and asking her if I could like girls. She said, no, that's not what we do. Jesus says, man does not lie with man. That's not, you like boys. And I was like, okay, I was kidding, man. I was kidding. I like boys.
Just have a question.
I just had a question. So like, I just never explored that any further besides, what?
Experimenting.
And then I had a girl in high school that she came out gay. And I was like, so what do you do? And she was like, what do you mean? What do I do? And I'm like, what do you, like, how'd you say that? Like, what do you do?
And she was like, I'm gay.
Yes, she really was just like that. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I can say that. I don't know if I could do that.
But did you?
But then coming here, it was like, I had no reason not to be me. I had
Right.
zero reason. Nobody knew me. I mean, the people that I met along the way, but I had no reason
Was it a
to.
relief?
It was. It was like, I've been missing out my whole life.
Right.
I had no idea that like I had put myself in this box that wasn't real. Wasn't a real box.
But don't you think that like society is a little bit more open now?
Oh, 100%.
Because I know some of my friends that I knew in high school that I absolutely knew, like 100% knew, and they were depressed. They were scared.
Ended up at juvie.
They went down very dark roads because they didn't know how to be themselves because every day they were pretending that they were someone else.
You had to be somebody else.
Right. Because this is what society said, or this is what my parents expect of me. This is what my church expects of me. We live in a very small town here. Yep. And so I can remember as we went into college and I could see, obviously, because now social media is around. Because hello, let's be honest, Facebook didn't come out until I was in college. Yes, I am that old.
Thank
people.
goodness,
I am
right?
that old. But I can remember that became a place where when they decided to, and I hate the word coming out. Like I don't like that term. Yeah. But I mean, I guess when they were confident enough to speak their truth, I feel like that's better than like, I'm coming out.
I'm coming out.
You're walking out the room. What
right.
are you doing? Like, you know, I feel like when they were able to walk in their confidence to say, this is who I am. It was more acceptable at that point. And I remembered the transformation of that person. And I got to see it on Facebook because obviously most of them moved, right? Yeah. They wanted to escape the people that were here and go and reinvent themselves as the person that they truly were. So seeing that. And then now I look at it and I'm like, they have kids. Yeah. They've adopted. They have kids. Like, I just think that it's more acceptable now. Do we still have people that are not acceptable? Yes. But some people don't accept me. So I don't really care.
You're right.
You know?
They're like, that girl with the crazy hair.
Right. You know? Actually, people think I'm gay because of my hair, actually.
Stop.
Oh, yeah.
It's the gay haircut.
Right. Like, I've been asked multiple times, like, are you married? Yes, I'm married. To a man? Absolutely. I get what gives you that, you know, thought process that it's not. But I definitely think it's just more acceptable. Oh, yeah. And it's freeing, I think, for a lot more people.
Oh, yeah. I get you don't look gay, or you're too pretty to be gay. I'm like, what's gay look like?
What does gay look like?
You have to be ugly? I don't think so.
So you get here, you breathe fresh air, and you become Bethany.
Yes. And I get to be like, oh, I was wild. Whew. Mind you, I had a kid at home, so I was like, I can't be too wild. I got to make it to Carline. I have to make it to the bus. We were home by 3:00. We I'm still being responsible, but I was wild. Yeah. I did when you're that freeing moment, what you guys do in college. I say you guys, but like people go to college and they're like, woohoo, this is me.
No parental strapping at all.
That's what I did. And then the girl that I ended up being with, we were together for 5 or 6 years, something like that. Ended up being abusive. And
physically or mentally?
Both.
Okay.
Went through a entire coke addiction with her, and didn't stop until I almost died twice. And it was in the hospital numerous times over that. She was physically abusive, where if I fought back, because I'm a little bit scrappy, but I'm not going to let you just roll me over. But I did fight back. I remember calling the police and being like, hey, I'm going to, I don't know what to do. I'm locked in my bathroom. I can't get out. But by the time they had got there, she had already opened up the bathroom door and I hit her. And because she got hit and you could see where I hit her, they told me that they were going to bring me to jail.
Of course.
Because it was more evident that I had hit back. And so I knew at that point there was no getting out. I was like, I'm stuck. I'm stuck here with this girl. She's going to kill me. I'd been in the emergency room with glass in my face. It was hard. And I never walked away until she did it to my kid.
Hey, you remember that? Saying, what the shit am I going to talk about on this podcast? Like, these are the real moments that, like, women really get stuck in situations like this. And we're like, what the hell do we do? And of course, I don't know because I'm listening to this as we talk about it, but I can sit here and think to myself, all of your background probably had to come rushing back. Like, here we go. They're going to take my son. Where am I going to go? Am I going to go back to jail?
I don't have family here.
Protecting myself. And who the shit do I call?
Yep.
Like, who the shit do I call? There is somebody out here right now that's listening to this right now. And they're like, Bethany, please tell me what you did different because I'm in that boat right now. Might not be in a bathroom, but they're in a bedroom or something where they feel stuck. And no matter what, we're not stuck. We just have to make really fucking hard decisions.
Really hard decisions.
That really make us scared. And that's truly what happened, right? You're like, I'm stuck.
I'm stuck. And this is, I mean, it's been going on for years. But like I said, the final straw was when she did it to my kid. And she ripped him from a car as I was driving away. And I was like, this is it. I can't. We're going to die. And one of my friends was a police officer at the time. And I called her and I said, what do I do? She said, I'm on my way. And she wasn't on duty. I didn't call the police because I've already been down that road, right?
Right.
So her and her wife come over and they're like, just pick me up.
Pack it up.
Let's go.
Let's go.
And so I went and I stayed with them. And, you know, it's hard. You're like, what? Just my life just blew up. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I was being a good mom. I thought I was doing all this stuff. And then I realized I wasn't being everything that I could be. I was tiptoeing that line where I was better than what I was, but I wasn't living to my fullest. I was feeding every addiction. I was feeding the little man on your shelf that says, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It'll be fine. And then I became a different person. After that, I literally became a different person. I didn't go out with those party people. I cut off all those friends. I cut her off entirely. Like, will not speak to her. Do not engage. Packed up all her stuff and told her to leave. Changed the locks on the house. And it was miserable. I will tell you, that first 3 months was brutal. Because now you're like extra broke.
Right.
You're extra broke. You're going to work. You literally have given up every vice that you've ever had. Crying all the time. And your kid is like, what's going on?
Looking at you like, what happened?
Yeah,
Where'd she go?
Yeah.
Why isn't she here? All the things.
And then I just started making my way back into the world slowly and surely. And I'm living in Hammond at this time. And I just one foot in front of the other, one day at a time. That's how I kept taking it. Things will happen. And it's a matter of me, whether I let them take me back down the path and live this life that I've been living, or if I keep climbing the mountain. And
that mountain seems so high. Oh my gosh.
Every step was like, oh, seriously? We got to do this again?
And then we get tired and we're like, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm done. Because I can tell you, like, girl, same thing, same road.
I could just pick it up one more time. I could just do it.
Right.
If I fall back into a little, it's fine. I'll get back up. It's hard not taking that path. And I joined TPW. a friend of mine brought me, and the first meeting I went to was a domestic violence meeting.
Like he put you in the room for a reason, girl.
And she was like, hey, she doesn't know any of the story.
Right.
She's like, you good? I'm like, I am great. I am where I am supposed to be. I was supposed to come to this lunch. I was supposed to meet these people. I was supposed to know this lady because I'm supposed to help people get out of what I was in for so long. Because the question always is, if you don't like it, or if they're doing this to you, why don't you leave? You can't. You try, and then it's just like, you're stuck. They're threatening to kill themselves. They're threatening to kill you. The police don't seem to be on your side. It's just like,
you don't have any money.
You don't have any money.
Like when I talk to women that are in these situations, I'm not kidding. A lot of it is the scarcity of not having any money. And where do I go? If I pack everything up,
what are you left with? What do you really have? Is it yours?
And like that, I think that and like people are like, oh, well, you can make more money. No, like, hello, let's talk real numbers here. If you were a server at a restaurant, how much money are you bringing home? I mean, like, you have to be realistic. And so like, I think that there's a lot of nonprofits that truly do try to help. But it is the scarcity of like
resources
of like, where do you go? And then obviously answering.
And then you have to trust somebody to like, that you don't know, to put you in somewhere that you're going to be okay.
Right.
That's scary. But yeah, so I joined TBW right after that meeting, and Miss Lisa Hughes was actually president-elect at the time, and she was one of my bar regulars. She used to be one that come in and I'd be like, Miss Lisa, I'm hungry. Can you feed me? And she's, here you go. Didn't ask questions. And so I kind of attached and I said, hey, if there's anything more I can do here, let me help. Like, let me do whatever. And at that time, I'm getting out of the bartending scene because let's face it, that's another vice. I'm working at Sport Optics. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no clue. My boss was like, do you know what a reticle is? And I said, am I supposed to? He said, let me teach you. Right. And I was like, okay, thank you. But I learned so much about how to be a strong woman in that field, because I was a male-dominated field. And I could either be soft and just in the corner and not really a part of anything, or I could be a strong woman. And that's what I wanted to be. So I buckled up. I learned a bunch.
Straps up, girl. Learn whatever you needed to learn.
Learned about reticles and red dots and different types of glass for binoculars. I was like, all right, let's go. And I was doing that. I'd met my partner now and had a whole full circle moment there because she had already started fostering kids. And
how did y'all meet? We're going through. So the reason why I say that is that like, we're going through all this domestic violence. You're in this like climbing the mountain stage. Mm-hmm. If you don't know Lisa Hughes, I don't know her very well, but I know that she is a silent angel, I believe. Like she has this aurora about her, and I love that. She will be on the podcast. She signed up, so I cannot wait to dive in with her. But I feel like she's one of those silent angels. I have one of those. Kim Walker is my silent angel. She doesn't know how much that she has empowered me silently and wants no camaraderie for that. Like she does not want to be boosted that she does these things. And I definitely see that in Miss Lisa. But we're walking through this timeline and you're in Hammond at this point. And so you're working at the
gun store,
at the gun store, which is so crazy, right? Like I'm a crazy lady because I've been in this relationship and you let me work at the gun store. Yeah. This is great. But I love that. Because it definitely probably gave you a little bit of empowerment. Like, let me show you how to hold this. Let me show you how to do this.
Let me teach you about this thermal real quick.
Right.
And they're like,
right.
Yep.
But so how do you meet your partner? Don't say who it is yet because we have to like I get, we're going to climb this mountain a little
Okay.
bit because she's fabulous. But how did you meet her?
So, one of my friends was best friends with somebody that worked for her.
Okay.
And she had just called off an engagement. I had come out of my world. And my friend was like, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody, but I'm not going to do it until you're ready. Like, you've got to get over your hump
have your
here.
shit together.
Yeah. And then I'd like you to meet this person. I was like, I have zero interest. I do not want to jump in bed with somebody else.
And trust.
I do not want to talk to somebody. I don't want to have to tell my story. I just do not want to. And she was like, obviously you're not ready. Right. I'm like, okay, thank you. Well, one day I was working a double. It's a Friday night. I'm like, butt exhausted. I'm ready to go home. She comes in, she goes, okay, you ready to meet her? And I'm like, no. I said no. She's like,
Did
okay.
we not get the memo?
She'll be here. We're going to have dinner in like 10 minutes. So you have 10 minutes to prepare. I'm like, I look disgusting. If you've never been a bartender and you've never worked a double, you've seen somebody that has, and you know, you're like, dang, you've been here a long time.
Are you ready to go home?
Yes. So that's what I look like. I'm like, okay, so they're not sitting in my area, but I can see them from where I'm at. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's cute. All right. And I'm like, all right, we met. Cool. They're like, no. You're going to come out after your shift. And I'm like, my shift ends at 11 o'clock. What do you mean we're going out after? And Ashton's not home. He's with his dad. And I'm like, I don't have any excuse. I literally have zero excuses as to why I can't go. I'm trying to find them though. But they get me. They get me out. I go home. I change. Go out. We're at, I think we're at the Crescent. Might be at Benny's. I don't really know. It was a long day. And we're just all talking. I actually don't even talk to her the entire time we're there. Because I'm like, I don't have it in me. Well, this is the best part. They're like, hey, kiss Bethany. Hey, kiss Bethany. And if you know anything about her, when we drop her, she is not PDA. Do not put pressure on her to do anything in public. Do not hold her hand. Do not touch her back too long. Just don't. She's not about it. And she wouldn't do it. And it got irritated because I'm like, I'm cute. Like, it's not that hard.
The confident woman in you was like, why are you not?
So I walked up to her. I stood on top of the bar chair and I kissed her. And I said, it's not that damn hard. You could have just did it. And she was like, taken back. So then we started talking. Didn't talk all night. And now we're talking. And then that's when I found out that she was doing the foster care scene. We talked a little bit about how I grew up in foster care. And I told her, I was like, I have always wanted to get back into it on the other side because I was so much older when I got adopted that I would love to do that for some other child. And then my thing was, this is random, but I always wanted a little black girl because statistically, black children don't get adopted as much. It's usually babies and Caucasian babies from foster care. And then also statistically, older boys don't get adopted. And I had 2 biological brothers that had aged out of the system. So I was like, I want an older boy and I want a little black girl. And that was it. It just so happened that she had a little black baby. She wasn't a baby. She was 5, but she's a baby. She's my baby.
I was about to say. My daughter is 8 and she's still the baby, okay?
And I was like, wow. Like, okay, I see you putting people where they're supposed to be. And it was, ever since then, it just has been the Rolling Stone. We've been going strong. She's taught me so much about life. And now we've got 2 more babies. So we've got 3 together and then my oldest. So there's 4 of them.
So are they all in foster care or have y'all actually adopted these beautiful babies? Because anybody that knows you, y'all are very quiet on social media, and there's a reason for that, and I respect that. And it absolutely has nothing to do with that they're gay, FYI. Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do, I think, with your partner's profession.
Yes.
And just kind of keeping that low key.
Absolutely.
So, but you do drop little sprinkles of your beautiful family, and I just love that. So are they all foster or are they adopted?
They're all adopted now.
Wonderful.
Yep. So Cameron got adopted when she was 7. And that was awesome to be a part of because we were together, and it was actually in 2020. So it was one of those Zoom adoptions, which was cool. Because I was at work and I was like, hey, I still get to be here. Right. I'm zooming in. And then it was about a year later when we got the call for our next one. It was Madden. He was 9 months old at the time. And we said no because it was the end of 2020. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. And we're like, we don't know what we're doing. Like the world's been shut down.
Right.
We haven't, like we can't take in a kid 2 weeks before Christmas right now. So we had said no. They called us again and they're like, hey, we still can't find anywhere for this kid to go. If we can't find anybody over the weekend, would you take him for the week? And I'm like, I guess we're thinking about it, but like, no, it's a lot. And a 9-month-old. And all they told us was he's been too big for the caregiver to take care of him. I'm like, he's 9 months old. How is he too big? Like, I don't understand. Well, the weekend passes and nobody takes up this baby. And so I'm sitting at the house and she goes and picks him up and he's not that big. I mean, I don't think so. He was wearing 18-month-old clothes, so he probably was a little large. But he was the cutest. He had this little old man patch of hair on top of his head and he was just so happy and just content. I remember he woke up and he's just staring at us like,
Who are y'all?
who are these people? Why are you guys looking at me? Like, how did I get here?
Right.
And so that's how we got Madden. And then his birth mom actually was pregnant at the time. And so we knew if she ever
decided
couldn't keep the baby, that we were going to have a baby. And we were in Target and the baby had been living with the birth mom for the first 4 months of her life. And I got a call. I'm in the toy aisle and all of a sudden Ayla comes around the corner and says, hey, I did something. And I looked at her. I said, when do we get her? And she goes, in 2 hours. I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, you just dropped her name, so you might as well say
I did.
who your
Drop it.
partner is.
Miss Ayla Gazzardo, yeah.
Yes, and she is so fabulous. And
She's been amazing.
Such a huge part of our community.
Huge,
and
yeah.
I wanted you to be the one to say, because I do know that because of her occupation, she is very social silent, except for her occupation. And I think that's because she has been a huge statue in our community and we just love her and everything that she's brought. But what I loved about her, and it really came from getting to know you and then, yes, stalking you to figure out like, what is this connection here? And her heart is just truly pure gold. And I am just, number one, so super proud that you two are just living this beautiful life. And I think that she makes you a better Bethany. When you talk 100%. About her, you light up, you smile. And so I love that. And so since you dropped her name, so I just wanted you to be the one to drop her name and not me, because I live here and I know who she is and what everything about her. But what was crazy is that at TBW Women Mean Business is when I found out that she was your partner. I didn't even know that.
Really?
Yes, I didn't even know that. And so I come home and I tell Garland, I'm like, babe, Gazzardo is her partner. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I knew that she was gay, but like, it's not just like all over the place, which I love that
we're
she's
not
just
screaming, hey,
right.
look at me.
And so I thought that was like a pretty cool. And then all I thought was that how beautiful that was, because then I had seen your family pictures and your dynamic. And so I'm not a Facebook stalker. I just don't do that. But I did after I left Women Mean Business. And I was like, this is why they're so beautiful. She has a heart of gold and a giver's heart.
Yeah.
And then when I saw, and I kind of put the pieces together from your Facebook, I was like, she's beautiful for y'all. And your family is just stunning. So she comes around the aisle and she tells you that you're picking the baby up in 2 hours.
We're picking up a baby. So, yep, we went to the baby aisle and we're like, I don't even know what type of bottles to buy. Like, I don't know what to do here. So I had no interest in ever like having a baby like that. And she didn't either. So we were it'd been years since I had Ashton, so I didn't even know. So we had picked up some baby stuff. We went to Olive Garden. We call her our Olive Garden baby because we got her at Olive Garden here in Hammond. All jokes aside, we call Madden our Walmart baby because we did pick him up in the Walmart parking lot. So
wow.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that this is like so court judgeship. Like we're going to bring them like, no. Oh, you want a baby? You meet all these requirements. You want the baby? We'll bring him to you. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we got Madden from a Walmart parking lot and Lumen was from the Olive Garden parking lot. And when we got Lumen, we were told that she would be very short term because her birth dad wanted her. And this is another little sappy piece, but when we got her and I held her, when you have a baby, people get this like overwhelming joy and love and absolutely. Like, this is mine. I made this. I had that with her. And that was the first time I'd ever had that. I didn't have it with Ashton when I had him. But when I got her, I looked at Ayla and I said, this is my baby. And she told me, she's like, Bethany, you cannot say that. That is not your baby. That is somebody else's baby. And she's going to go live with her dad. So she was and if you don't know anything about foster care in the system, you have to be like that. You have to be, this is not your kid. You will care for this child like they are yours until they go home. But ultimately the goal is they are reunified with their birth family. And I told Ayla, I was like, I can't. Like, this is my baby. I don't think you understand. And it was a whole up and down thing. And the DNA test came back from her birth dad and it was not her dad. And I said, I have never been more relieved. And you can't say that too often. But at that time I was so relieved. I was like, she's not leaving. Right. She's not going anywhere. And I was like, I told you she was my baby. I told you. And she's like, okay, simmer down. But it was like those first few weeks, nobody really wanted to get attached to her because she was leaving. She was going somewhere else that was not going to be our child. And when rights were terminated on Madden, they turned around quick. And at the 1 year mark, because the child has to be in foster care for an entire year with the reunification status before they are then put into potentially changing their status to adoption. So we hit the 1 year with her and
you were like signing as quick as you could.
Oh, like, heck yes. Heck yes. And I was like, yes, this is amazing. Like we've got both of our babies. It's just so great that they are siblings and we got to keep them together.
So how do you think that dynamic is changing for you? Because you coming up in foster care, you have mentioned to me that like you're not close to your siblings, even though that y'all were in part in some of the foster care homes together, y'all are not close. So your parenting style with them, how does that change? And like, just like you said, you were so relieved when you were like, yes, she's mine, because you were excited that her sibling was already with you.
Yep. And we got the whole family. Well, I'm forever learning. I am
as a parent, that is always, it doesn't matter, foster care, adoptive, or biological parents, I am still learning every day.
They start fighting. I'm like, you guys cannot do that to each other. Like, that is not okay. Ayla's like, you didn't fight with your sibling? I'm like, no, remember? I might have 9 siblings, but I didn't grow up with any of them.
Right.
I grew up an only child. I have no idea what this is like. But it's forever changing. And it's cool. People ask, they think, all the kids are related. They're like, they're all related, right? Yeah. Yeah. If you ask them, they don't know any different. That is their sister Cameron. That is their brother. I'm their mom. They don't know anything different. We tell them all the time that they're adopted, the babies too. And they're like, okay. They don't care. I'm still their mom. and it was still their mama Ayla. And it's just.
Are you prepared for them to say, but you're not my real mom?
Yeah. Oh, I've had conversations with Cameron. I'm like, okay, sweetheart, you're 12. Let me tell
That's
you,
right. You're getting
I've been
into
12.
that age. That's right.
And I've told her a lot of my like hard truths, and I told her the path that I've gone through, and we've gone through in-depth detail of, you know, some of the things I went through, and she's kind of baffled. And I tell her all the time, that could be you. You have the same background that I did. You have that drug addicted family. You have the birth dad that wasn't so great. You have the mom that was into, you know, the drugs and the extra men in the house. Like, you have all of the same things I had. You were adopted a little bit earlier than me, but you are fully coherent on the situation. So I tell her, you can either accept that and move forward, continue to grow and move forward and not take the path that I took, or you can take the path that I took and you can have the relationship that I have with my mom, which is, it's not bad, but it's not great. I don't have the relationship that Ayla has with her mom, and I see it, and it's kind of cool to watch, but I don't have that. They call each other every day. They talk about everything. They're like best friends.
Right.
Me and my mom are a little bit, we do better in different states.
Associates.
Which is fine. Yes.
Associates that love each other.
That love each other. I'll be there if you need me.
Right. But I love that you're transparent with the kids too, because Garland and I have that really open relationship with both of our kids. Oh my goodness. We just put out a podcast the other day or a month ago that we watched 13 Reasons Why with our son. Now, I mean, we had some restrictions on that. We had to watch it together. We talk about it after every episode together or whatever, but we got so much heat for that. And I was like, no, it was the door for us to be transparent. And as they were going through and some of these kids were doing drugs, like, we were very open with our son that, yes, your parents have definitely done that. Look, as much as I am the woman of, you know, everybody likes to look at me as this business entrepreneur powerhouse, I liked cocaine. I liked an upper. I like to be real social and friendly. Mm-hmm. And like, so we're honest with him. We're honest with him about Garland's really tough upbringing, because I came from a completely different thing. I'm more like, oh, like, I have parents that still live here. My grandparents are still alive. They literally live 5 minutes from my house. We see them all the time. We do every holiday together, like the whole thing. Garland never did those type of things. Garland found out about Santa when he was in the first grade, because she walked out and said, there's no money for gifts. So when you wake up in the morning, there's no such thing. Yeah. Like, things like that like, we try to be open and transparent, because I hope that keeps the line of communication absolutely very open with them. I want them to see that you can change. I want them to see that you can grow. I want them to see that if you do change your mindset, you do have the right to be different than your upbringing. Absolutely. And I think that is so cool that y'all are transparent, because I feel like sometimes as parents, we try to like hold that stuff back
too much. Yeah.
Because we're so afraid of exactly what we try to tell everybody, not to care what people think. But ultimately, at the end of every day, everybody freaking cares what everybody freaking thinks. Especially women. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. And so I love that. I love that relationship for y'all to have, because I know how empowering that is. My daughter walks around telling everybody that she's a queen, because I tell her every day, like when she gets out the car, you are beautiful, you are confident, you are sweet, you are humble. But then yet I also tell her when she's being a little shit.
Oh, you have to.
Like, hey, reality girl, check yourself. we even tell, because nobody ever did this to me, and I tell Ayla all the time, I wish somebody would have slapped me down to reality a lot sooner in life. I was a spoiled brat. Oh my gosh. My adoptive mother gave me everything and anything that I could have ever asked for. If I said jump, she was saying how high. I ran the house. And looking back, I should have not been like, no, ma'am. And so that's one thing, like, your teenagers or your preteens get into this mindset, like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm grown. I'm getting older. Like, regular
we all do
stuff. That's right.
And I'll be like, Cameron, remember where you came from. That phone you have is a privilege. That door on your bedroom is a privilege. That bed is a privilege. So we've even gone so far as, because We've been through the I hate yous already. And we've been through your...
Mine's you don't love me. You do this because you don't love me.
Yeah. And so then we sit down and I'm like, okay, here you go. Here's a piece of paper. Go tell me everything you bought in that room. Okay. Go tell me everything that is your God-given right to have in that room.
Right.
And then go in there and tell me what everything is a privilege to have. And so we did that. And when I tell you, she came out and she said, my family is my privilege. And I was...
Cry. Right. Take your breath away.
Like, okay,
cry.
Okay, we're doing something right. She might have gotten angry and she might have told me she hates me. We've been through this. But ultimately the core is there and she understands this is a privilege.
That's right.
This is where I'm supposed to be and I could be somewhere far worse. So it's like having those little reality checks with her is, I say it's cool because like I didn't have that, but she is so level-headed at 12 years old that it's like, wow.
They say that
you're
about my
gonna
kids,
be,
but that's because they do something silly and I'm going to check you right then. If you're at dinner and you do something silly, I'm going to do it right then. If you do something that you're not supposed to do, social media is like the demise of everything in my house right now. And I'm just like, what are you doing? But I check it and we communicate about it right then because I feel like if we don't, then there's going to be a moment later on in life where I sit back and I say, I should have done. I should have corrected. I should have had that conversation. So I always try to look at it like, I don't want to uproot everything and it be chaotic and they don't know. And I want them to be able to come talk to me. And I feel like if I'm real with them, they'll come talk to me. They might hate whatever my decision is or whatever punishment is. Yeah. But you know what? I hated it too. My parents punished me because that was like the end of the world. Now I remember it was about making me miserable so that I could think about like what I had done. Right.
Yeah.
And so life is forever changing and evolving and you are about to make a huge change.
I am about to make a huge change.
So are you ready to drop that?
Yeah. So I wanted to tell you a little bit more about TPW and those amazing, like I swear that amazing group of women is like a sisterhood of just awesome, uplifting people.
Yes.
And that's with Miss Lisa, with Ayla, with my job at the gun store. I quit my job at the gun store to go work for Brian at North Shore Media. Yes. One day he was like, hey, you want a job? You want to do Lucky Bucks? I was like, I love coupons. Heck yeah. And I was like, all right, let's do it. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I leaned on all these women. I was like, hey, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to go do this. I just need a little bit of help getting me there. I started my job with North Shore Media. I started doing this conference and I started really diving deep into, you could be a boss bitch. Yeah. I don't know if I can say bitch on here, but I just
you could. It's my podcast. I know I've dropped the F-bomb a few times.
I was like, you could be a boss bitch. You could put your mind to it. You have overcome so many obstacles. Why not just add another one to the list? So then I, became what I am now, really just making my way through Tangipahoa and really threading that part of my life. And then, Ayla gets a job and I am like, hey, thanks for teaching me everything that I could possibly ever need to know to be able to carry on to the next step.
I think for women, for me, you talk about TPW and tell people what TPW stands for.
Tangipahoa Professional Women's Organization.
I think that we're sometimes afraid to get in that room. I think sometimes we're like, they're going to know that my facade looks good and the inside's messed up. And it's quite the opposite. When you get in the room, they typically don't really care what the insides look like. They're about empowering you and about helping you elevate yourself, empower yourself to be a better version of yourself.
Yes.
And I think that more women need to get in rooms like that.
Oh,
no matter
absolutely.
what it is. Like you will get asked to be on boards.
You will.
You will get asked to be on committees.
You will.
But I think that it's more about just being around other women that uplift you and want to see you succeed.
Exactly.
Find your quiet angel, right? Like there is one for every single person.
Absolutely believe it.
And so I think for me, I've been in the room with TPW. I see what these women do and I see that they just want to help.
Yeah.
In any way. You have a small jewelry place? Perfect. Set it up as a pop-up.
Yes.
You want to promote your business? stand up and speak at TPW. You want a group of women to get together and have a cocktail and just sit here and be like, you know what? I've had a really shitty day today. Or I've got a 15-year-old that smells like dog crap right now. And I'm going through this and I've never went through this. And then there's like 5 women that can tell you all about going through those teenage years, right? And so for me, I do agree. I do agree with you that getting in the room and being in the room with powerhouse women is key for us to elevate ourselves. And if you're in our area, TPW is a great place to start.
It is.
But I know that my last question for you to wrap up, you're about to make this huge move.
Right.
Because Ella is moving
Yes.
to a new school.
Yeah.
And she is going to do fabulous there. I already know. We're sad to see her leave.
We are, but it's exciting.
It's exciting. And it's exciting for you. So what's the next step for Bethany?
So I don't know. I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
Here we go again.
But I'm excited because I feel like I have the tools in my pocket to be able to do whatever is next. I have thoroughly enjoyed being a part of the chamber. I've enjoyed my women's group. I've enjoyed being part of North Shore Media's group and all those connections and, just working within the community and seeing all those intertwining pieces that really just make the community so strong that I want to take all of those little pieces and put them to use in my next place, which would be Lake Charles. I want to do everything I'm doing here, there. I want to be that extra light for somebody else.
Well, Bethany, I am super excited you came to hang out with me today.
Thank you. I could talk for a few more hours.
Thank you for laughing with me. Thank you for being real with me. Thank you for crying with me and being vulnerable with people, because I think that's how we communicate. I think that the more women actually become vulnerable and walk in their own purpose and presence, it gives light to somebody else.